This is Valley News Live at 10.
We begin tonight with breaking news. 2 juveniles are in custody suspected of threatening a shooting at Cheney Middle School. West Fargo police say one of the juveniles is from West Fargo, the other from Fargo. The middle school went to distance learning today after students reported seeing a shooting threat on Snapchat last night. Tonight, police say search warrants were executed at 2 separate locations and the individuals acted independently of each other. The threat initially indicated that 5 people were involved. However, police say there are no other suspects. Reports have been forwarded to the Cass County State's attorneys for consideration of charging both juveniles for the act of terrorizing, a Class C felony. Cheney is reopening for on-site learning tomorrow with a designated care and support room available in the office. School representatives say if you have concerns about your student returning tomorrow, reach out to your administrator. School threats aren't new to the Valley. Just last month, a student brought a loaded gun to a Fargo school. Valley News Team's Nishay Taylor explores how social media and internet platforms play a role in these threats.
Information was obtained that a specific threat was posted via social media.
Social media is one of many places where a school shooting threat can get started, but experts say it can also be an influence behind the threat.
YouTube is a black hole when it comes to information. You can start down one path and end up in a totally different path and learn a whole bunch of information that probably wasn't valuable.
But Kevin Thompson, a criminal justice professor at NDSU, says social media can also be helpful.
Kids post things, they might be idle threats, they might be serious threats. But when other people observe them and see them and report them, then we can prevent these incidents from happening.
And mental health experts say there could be a purpose for the threat.
It's also a cry for help, unfortunately. It's one way to get everybody's attention on you right now.
Thompson says schools are already understaffed and underfunded, so things can slip through the cracks.
But the schools don't have the time or the effort or the resources to monitor these sites themselves. It's only going to take one major incident.
But he says there are preventative measures schools can take if the money is there.
If we have the resources to hire some of these social monitoring consulting firms.
In Fargo, Nishay Taylor, Valley News Live.
Thompson says all threats have to be taken seriously by parents and law enforcement. Mental health experts also speaking out tonight in the wake of these school shooting threats. The director of counseling at Prairie St. John says now is the time to have those difficult conversations with your kids and check in on them. He says if kids don't get the care they need, some act out, taking lessons from events in the news, as just last week 4 students were shot and killed at a school in Oxford, Michigan.
There's, in the events of Oxford, there's also a copycat effect where something happens and so then that moves on to another city, to another town, to another state. So we have to be on the lookout for that too.
And more breaking news this evening of another school threat, this one in Pembina, North Dakota. The Pembina County Sheriff's Office was contacted by staff at North Border School District today over concerns of a potential threat. They say based on interviews with students and staff, it appeared there was no immediate threat, but they're not done investigating. Hutch joins us now with a first look at the forecast. Hutch.
Thanks so much. Good evening, everyone. We had flakes of flying in the early day, and then as we headed in towards sunset tonight, the Devil's Lake Basin picking up a little bit of snow shower activity. That actually continues now as we head into the evening hours with the radar showing where that is momentarily. High temperatures today reaching 20 in Jamestown, teens elsewhere. All in all, not a bad day as we've improved our temperature a little bit. We're going in the right direction. Here's the latest location of the snow showers making their way through Grand Forks, western Polk County, pushing in towards Thief River Falls. That extends down through the central I-29 corridor. The Hillsboro area. Here is a look at your current temperatures. It's coldest up in north central North Dakota, the Devil's Lake Basin at 0. The rest of us holding on to those teens for tonight. We do have more flakes in the forecast as we head into your Wednesday. I'll have hour by hour details, Stacy, here in just a minute on those warm front flakes, but that does bring a warm front as well, and that means warm. Details in a minute.
All right, thanks so much, Hutch. Just into our Valley News Live newsroom, a pedestrian was airlifted from a crash scene in Barnesville tonight. Minnesota Highway Patrol Sergeant Jesse Graybo says it happened on Highway 34, 10 miles east of Barnesville. He says a box truck hit a pedestrian near milepost 11. That person is seriously injured. We'll keep you updated as we learn more. This week, the Supreme Court is discussing overturning Roe v. Wade, the landmark 1973 decision that legalized abortion. If that happens, a report by the Guttmacher Institute shows that women in North and South Dakota will have to travel almost 200 miles more to get an abortion. The head nurse at North Dakota's only medical clinic that provides abortion says women are already driving hours across the state to get care.
So if you can imagine a woman from Dickinson driving 6 hours, she has 3 children that she had to find a place for, and she's here for 2 to 3 hours and then has to drive 6 hours home. So that's, a 15-hour day, lots of gas, missed work.
The Guttmacher Institute says that will only overwhelm other states' clinics. The man diagnosed with the first case of the Omicron variant in Minnesota is telling his story. He was vaccinated and boosted. He had just traveled to an anime convention in New York City. The size of that convention complicated things in terms of contact tracing.
It was a few hours of conversations dating back to early November. Everything I've done from there up into the con itself, where I was at what time, who I was with, the locations, the addresses, and then also getting the contact information of everybody that was at my party.
Today, the director of the CDC said that of the reported 53,000 people who attended that conference, more than 35,000 have been contacted. She added that data from this investigation will provide some of the earliest looks at the transmissibility of the variant. New for you tonight at 10, a federal judge has imposed a $15 million criminal fine on the company behind the largest oil spill in North Dakota history. In 2014 and 2015, 29 million gallons of produced water, which is an oil-contaminated waste product of fracking, leaked from a pipeline north of Williston and impacted more than 30 miles of Blacktail Creek. Summit Midstream Partners pleaded guilty to criminal charges for deliberately failing to immediately report the spill as required under the Clean Water Act.
Storms are heading our way. We'll tell you exactly when and where they'll hit. It snowed all night, all day.
The snow coming down, the wind whipping it.
Helping to plan your day. The First Alert Storm Team.
Activity is not permissible.
We'll tell you exactly when and where they'll hit. It snowed all night, all day.
The snow coming down, the wind whipping it.
Helping to plan your day. The First Alert Storm Team.
If a World War, but that was about to change. Here's CBS's John Dickerson.
Just before Japanese planes swarmed, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt surveyed his stamp collection. In the paper that day, the Navy Secretary boasted about the strength of the fleet. America was not at war and didn't want to be. All of that changed in an instant.
Japan has done what Roosevelt could not do: unify a deeply divided nation.
Americans, who would later become known as the Greatest Generation, endured blackouts, rationing, and workplace changes familiar to those of us restricted in the COVID age. The New York Times wrote, many workers are feeling essential for the first time.
She's making history, working for victory. Rosie, the riveter.
The fact that women went to work during the war, how do you think that changed things?
They didn't realize how capable American women were. Hitler had said that he wouldn't have any trouble defeating America because American women couldn't produce. I think we showed Hitler what American women were made of.
May Cryer was one of the 5 million women who took a job for the first time to help with the war effort. Necessity changed roles for Black Americans, too. Dory Miller had become a hero of Pearl Harbor, winning the Navy Cross, just one of many firsts for African Americans whose heroism would lead to the integration of the military. A fighting force that had been flabby in peacetime went on to defeat the Nazis, launch the atomic age, bring democracy to Japan, and assume the role as global protector of freedom.
According to the Department of Veterans Affairs, of the 16 million who served in World War II, roughly 240,000 are still living. Still ahead tonight, as one of the youngest victims returns home, we have new video from the deadly Christmas parade in Wisconsin, taken just minutes before a career criminal rammed into innocent victims.
Temperatures are on the unbalmy side in the Devil's Lake Basin, already below zero for you. We have cold air coming overnight and flakes in your Wednesday forecast. I'll have the latest. Join me. Weather is next.